jump straight into it. My name is Niklas Ridoff, like Gergely said, and I am the CEO of WineTourism.com. And well, you can jump into the next slide, actually, which is the first one. And I'll talk a little bit about what WineTourism.com is. My background is from the financial controlling and forecasting business. I've worked both in the public sector for the Swedish government, for the Ministry of Finance, and I've worked privately for a long time as a management consultant in larger organizations. On top of that, I developed, not intentionally, but I got bitten by the wine bug about 6-7 years ago, and I developed a very strong passion for wine. And it got out of hand, and now I'm sitting here where I've managed to combine my two fields, my two passions or career paths, my financial forecasting and project management, with my love for wine. I am the CEO of WineTourism.com. We are located in Sweden, and well, I'll get to that shortly. What I want to talk to you about today is from our perspective on data collection, on how to digitalize the wine tourism community, and our experiences of what that digitalization entails. So it's going to be a bit from, how should I say this, the private sector perspective, but also from our collaboration in one of our case studies with Gergely and Geisenheim University. We are conducting a global sustainability survey, which I'm going to bring up as an example of how data collection works in practice. And I also want to try to convey during my speech here why this is important. Why is data collection important? And sometimes I feel like I'm kicking in open doors, but I also think that it's important to kind of not lose sight of the forest for the trees, and not to just assume that data collection is important and then let it be at that. Because my experience from where I come from, both the private and the public sector, is that there is no lack of ideas. Sometimes the kind of cynical picture is maybe that the public sector is a bit slow and lack of ideas, but that's not the case, and neither is the case in the private sector. But I'll tell you what kills 95% of all ideas is execution. And that's kind of where a bit of the point I want to make as well, that it's not enough to know where we want to go. We kind of have to know how we want to get there. And those are a couple of topics I'm going to bring up today. You can skip to the next slide, please. Perfect. So what is WineTourism.com? Quite quickly, we are a global online booking website for wine experiences. So our aim is to bring together wine tourists from all over the world with wineries that offer wine experiences from all over the world. And I have to bring this up whenever I say we're a Swedish company. We are not focused on Sweden. We are based in Sweden, but we are entirely global in our approach. Most of our customers currently come from the United States, United Kingdom, Netherlands, and Italy, and most of our visits are in Italy, France, and Germany, I should think. But we are global in nature, and we have over 3,000 wineries from roughly 45 countries. We have a couple of fun countries in here. We have Vietnam, and we've actually gotten a lot of bookings to that winery. It's a bit funny, and I think we got a couple of wineries from Azerbaijan now. So these are oddities, of course, but it's fun to see how wine exists really in all the world. And it's not just the old world, Europe for us, or even the new world. There's the new latitudes to take into account as well. But we don't want to be a merely transactional platform. Being a booking website is not novel in itself. I think that's been around since the dawn of the internet almost. For us to be truly successful and to feel that we contribute to the wine tourism community, we also want to promote knowledge exchange, development, learning, and research in the context of wine tourism. And again, that's kind of the focus of my speech today. What are we doing to help collect data and to promote learning for wine tourism? You can jump to the next slide, please. Thank you. So this is just another way of visualizing what we are trying to achieve. I think on the left there you will see what is our adaptation of the standard matching or facilitating platform that you have on the internet. You bring together the demand for experiences, the wine tourists. You bring them together on a functioning technical platform, and I'll tell you that's no mean feat. The just getting the platform to work successfully is a huge challenge. And then, of course, you have to have the supply side, the wineries providing these experiences. And we allow the visitors to book. And that, of course, has to be a painless, easy, smooth customer journey. And that is our value added to the visitor, to find a one-stop shop for getting to wine experiences. But we want to promote other aspects as well. We want to create both for the wine tourists. Now I say a wine tourist community here, but it's also, of course, a winery community that we want to create for a peer-to-peer knowledge exchange. We want to start collecting the data we have with the consent of the wineries and the visitors, of course, into a data repository that can be analyzed and sliced and diced. We want to convey this to the wineries in a way, in an interface online, which makes it very easy to take part of this knowledge, the knowledge exchange. And then we conduct bespoke industry research together with Geisenheim University. You can jump to the next slide. Thanks. Right, so why are we doing this? Why are we, as an actor, a platform actor in the wine tourism industry, promoting this type of digitalized learning? Well, it's a win-win situation. It's in our interest, given the nature of the business. We want more wineries. We are currently onboarding more and more wineries every day, but we also want more wineries that exist to offer wine tourism experiences. And we run the full gambit of different types of wineries. We have very, very small, family-run wineries up to very, very large professional, almost industrial operations, I would say. And along the spectrum, you have different, especially the smaller wineries. We have to work a lot with to get them to understand what is wine tourism and why would wine tourism be valuable for them. And I would say one example of this digitalized learning is actually that you get a lot of wineries kind of disqualifying themselves from this business area. Especially smaller wineries will say, well, we don't have the all of the professional dedicated services of the big wineries. All we have is our backyard, and it would be my father serving you the wines while I'm down taking them up from the cellar, and it's all going to be a bit unprofessional, they say. And then we have to tell them, no, it's not. That's exactly what the wine tourism you should be offering. And not to get too much into the kind of the young wine consumer and the experience economy and the upcoming trends, but we really do get a lot of wineries calling us and saying, well, we'd love to be on your platform, but we're just a small family-run winery. And you have to get these wineries to understand that's the genuine experience that people are looking for. Then there's other aspects to this as well, of course. But that kind of ties into the next thing. We want more wineries to offer tourism. We want wineries to offer high quality and memorable experiences. And I want to the memorable experiences. That's not very difficult. If you're a winery somewhere off on the slopes of Greece, overlooking the Mediterranean and the beautiful sea, it's going to be a memorable experience for sure. The high quality is I would say that's more tied into the actual journey of the visitor even before they get to the winery. And this is actually a big sticking point, how wineries approach their availability and their bookability. And for the visitor, I would say that a high quality experience is synonymous with an easy, reliable, transparent booking experience. And that's actually a big part of the learning we transmit to the wineries, is how to be successful in how you approach bookings. And in general, we want the whole wine tourism industry to develop at a faster rate and to become more mature. And I think to do that, you have to have access to data and to make the correct decisions. And that's what we are trying to provide, not just to individual wineries, but policymakers, wine interest organizations, and all other actors who want to help the wine tourism industry as a whole develop. You can skip to the next slide, please. Can everybody hear me all right? Every once in a while, I feel like it's very quiet, but I assume everybody can hear me all right. The slides are being changed at least. Yes, they say in the chat. Perfect. Right. So, just to confirm here, the next slide, well, is there a problem? Am I painting up a picture which doesn't exist in terms of this need to collect data? And absolutely, I would say I will start with another perspective from the OIV. Giorgio Del Grosso, who's the head of statistics at the OIV. I've watched him in at least two previous seminars. It was the UNWTO 5th Congress in Portugal, I think about like a month or 2 months ago, and also at the OIV Symposium for Digitalization just the other week, that this picture is confirmed by the OIV, and it's also our experience from our startup point of view. We do lack global data on wine tourism. We lack comparative data, and we lack data over time. Now, these all kind of flow into each other. The global and the comparative aspects of the data, especially. I know that when we were trying to build a business case to start our platform, and of course we need investments to start, and an investor needs a business case, and a business case needs data. And I have to say, I'm still surprised by the amount of hair I have left after having gone through this process of building a rigorous business case with the available data. It's extremely difficult. We have to collate information from an innumerable amount of sources, and we have to make very many assumptions about the definitions between the different kinds of data. I mean, just to give an example, we had to take maybe what was the development of wine tourism in Napa in 2007 and compare it to what is an estimation of the wine tourism turnover in the whole of France in 2010. And you have to spend a lot of time and energy to have this data make sense and smooth it over. And at the end of the day, you are still making a whole lot of assumptions. So there needs to be a standardization of definitions. I think there needs to be a standardization of approach in how you collect data, and we need data over time. And this presupposes that you do have a clear definition for you to be able to collect data consistently over a longer time series, and to observe trends. Not just snapshots of, okay, how was it this year, or even how was it last year. I mean, year-on-year analysis is good, but you need longer, maybe 5, 10, even 15-year trends, I would say, to be able to understand exactly where you should be focusing your policy making. And I mean, investment, in terms of investment opportunities, I say it from our point of view, it was difficult to bring up the business case. But you imagine other investors who want to invest in wine tourism regions. Now, I can only assume that if I were an investor and I'm investing in wine tourism in a region or in a country or wherever it is, I would want to see the business case. And I think that is difficult for everybody to procure right now. We can jump to the next slide. So how are we, and by we I mean winetourism.com primarily, how are we digitalizing the wine tourism community? And of course, I think there are lessons here for other actors. Well, as Gerge has mentioned, and what is going on right now is that we are producing industry research reports. We're producing one right now with focus on sustainability in the wine tourism industry, and there's a slide on it a little bit later. But we do these industry research reports. We've done 2 prior reports. We did one in the spring about online wine tasting, the development of online wine tasting as a consequence of COVID-19. And we also did one at the end of last year, almost exactly a year ago, on the effects of COVID on the general economy of the wineries. And these are survey based. So we approach wineries, both within our own network on the website, but also in a larger network. And we ask them to fill out surveys. We try to get a large and a robust data sample. We've been, I think our first survey, we got about 1,200 replies. And the second survey was about 1,400. And I think this one, Gerge, we're almost up in 1,600 replies. And this is good because you want a large, I think you want a large sample size to be able to draw conclusions, especially when you start drilling down into this data to maybe the definitely the national or definitely the regional level. You want X number of wineries to have participated. Otherwise, you have to be a bit careful about drawing conclusions. But we do these research reports. We are truly grateful for the support of all the wineries that choose to participate. And we make all our findings free and publicly available. You find them on our website. And we do have active contact with our wineries. We encourage them to read these reports, and we also format them in a way so that you can see, okay, well, what should this report mean to me as a winery? And we do try to identify best practices to the extent that it's possible from these reports. What are some best practices that wineries can draw upon? And also what is some other aspects of peer-to-peer learning so that they can strengthen correct behavior and maybe improve on behavior that we find is not so conducive to the business. That's going on right now, and I would say that's the focus for our learning currently. In 2022, and we're rolling out a new platform as well, which is going to enable this. We want to encourage, well, I call it opt-in data sharing, and it's an effort to have all of our wineries on the platform opt in, of course, because we have to be careful and respectful of all the data of our member wineries, of course. So it would be an opt-in into a data sharing program where we say there are probably certain aspects of your business and the data, the metadata around your business that we could combine with the information that we have on our visitors. I mean, we take in many visitors every day, and of course we have information on their behavior. And I think it would be very interesting for the wineries to understand, and given that they want to share this with the rest of the community that also opts in. Okay, given how we as a winery are structured as a business, how do we attract or how do we interact with visitors? And we have, we have this data, and if you get enough data, the thought is that you should be able to go down to, again, from the international, from the global to the national, even to regional level, and see, okay, this is the type of winery I am, and this is how successful I am in attracting or not attracting visitors or growing my wine tourism business, and this is how successful I am as a benchmark to other wineries in the region, or this is how my practice compared to what other wineries are doing in the region. I mean, I think this would be super interesting, and again, you would need you would need to make it easy for wineries to take part of this information. But I'm convinced that there's some business. I think what we have to prove is that we are which these wineries can rely on to make decisions upon. Perhaps the easy, but you can have peer-to-peer. I mean, here is that you would have peer-to-peer learning in the form of more exchanging ideas verbally or orally directly. You could have forums for chats. We have webinar series and seminar series, and all this would be customized, based on input from our member wineries, so that we would send out mini surveys, not research surveys, but you would send out to the network of wineries, smaller surveys. Okay, here are some findings, some experiences that will not overwhelm you at all. And this is a bit intentional. You will read through these bullet points and you will think, well, of course. And that's, of course, this is what should define successful data collection. But that's kind of the point. I think we very often tend to focus on, in this world of digitalization and big data and advanced tools and fantastic business intelligence interfaces. That's all great, but this chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And I suspect in many cases the weakest link is the quality and quantity of the data. And that's what I want to get back to here. You have to nail the basics when you're collecting data. Just focus literally on one metric, and this is often how we do when we test on the website to collect data. Of course, the testing takes a long time. Just try to nail one metric, and if you can collect that in a sufficient dose, then that's a great starting point. Don't try to make it too wide from the beginning. Related to this, well, at least we want to make the data truly global, because a lot of studies we see, ours included, are global in the sense that we send it out to a global audience, but it's usually a very strong focus on European wineries, which of course is very interesting for European wineries. But if we want the global learning perspective, I think a difficulty that we're encountering is getting the new world to participate more actively. So I would suggest that if you're making your data global and you're in Europe, give extra love to new world wineries to get them to understand why they should participate. Standardize to collect the data. This one I talked about. I think we all know what it means. It's easier said than done. I think some powerful actors have to get together and kind of define. One great definition would be, okay, well, how do we estimate turnover in wine tourism? What does that mean? And it sounds like a very simple question, but if you start breaking that up, I've had actually a very difficult time finding a consistent answer to how you measure revenue from wine tourism in different regions or countries. We want to make time series available. We want to make it easy to participate. And we have to help wineries understand why they should spend time submitting the data. Now, these last two are especially important because at the end of the day, if you don't get wineries contributing data, it doesn't matter how many fancy tools you have or how good your analysis is or how gracious your intent is. You have to get wineries to understand why this is important for them and to contribute their data so that you have a proper data set to base decisions on. We can jump to the next slide, which I will, in the interest of time, I think make my final slide, and then hopefully we have some time for questions. So we are currently conducting, in fact, we just closed the last day of November, our global sustainability survey, which is one of these research surveys that we have sent out to wineries. And we want to understand how wineries view sustainability in a wine tourism context. Sustainability is, of course, nothing new, at least nothing new in terms of it being covered in different topics and articles and as a very strong buzzword. I think the tendency is to, when you talk about the wine industry, it's the wine production industry, and the wine tourism sector in a sustainability context gets left behind a little bit. And what we want to do with this survey is understand, okay, is sustainability, what does it mean for wine tourism? Is it different? Are the standards or the approaches or the requirements for viewing sustainability for wine tourism, do they differ from wine production? And in general, how do wineries see the value of sustainability when they run their wine tourism activities? So we're really looking forward to the answers. It's going to be great to see what these wineries have answered. And now I have the link down at the bottom if you're curious. But like I said, I do think we've closed the survey now, so you'll simply have to wait for the results coming out in January. We're giving a webinar at the end of January as well, to also help disseminate the results to all interested actors into our wineries. We got, it says 1,500 here, we got almost 1,600 wineries participating from over 40 countries, which is fantastic. I'm super happy about that. We are doing this together with Geisenheim University and Gerge's great team, and Ann-Christine and Max there. And they're doing a fantastic job, and the data is in their hands now, which feels great to do the analysis. And I also want to give a shout out to our supporting partners who have endorsed us in this project, the UNWTO, the Great Wine Capitals, and the OIV, who have played a super important role in disseminating the survey. And I think this is part of the reason why we reached 1,600, which is a great number. But if I have only minutes left, this survey for me was an excellent example of why execution matters. When we sent out this survey, mail marketing is usually the way to go. You can post it on social media. Of course, we do. You can contact wineries through other means, but nothing beats sending them an email. And here, wineries are busy. You have to, and of course, during the harvest, especially, and even after the harvest. In fact, you're busy all year. So you have to be very judicious about how you approach these wineries. But you also have to understand that just sending one email, you are
we still have
you are at the mercy of whatever circumstances are reigning the day that you send it.
Unfortunately. Yeah. I think we, because it's the last slide, and we have some problems still with the connection. I would say we we cut here, finish here.
I know, for instance, we send a lot of our emails out, and we couldn't figure the response rate.
He's not to stop. He's Niklas is keep going. No, I'm just joking. Niklas, I think we have stopped now the presentation, and you have sign off again and come in again because we have some question to you. So that would be great if you
on vacation. So you have to end up sending another email the second week, and it sounds
within 1 minute. Yeah. So you will get some information from our administrators.
It's simple now once you've done it, but these are the kinds of things you have to.
This is a kind of delay what we having here, so that's the reason it's like this. So Niklas, we will kindly ask you to sign off and come back again, and then in the meantime we collect some questions and maybe two additional information for those who joined the first speaker and listen to the presentation by Niklas and winetourism.com. We conducted this year in January a survey with winetourism.com together. It was about online wine tasting. And this is what I'm going to present tomorrow, the results. And the other survey we conducted this month in November and just finished yesterday. Okay, Niklas is back. We're going to present it as Niklas said. We're going to present it end of January. So if you are interested in the results, I think Niklas and me promised that we will make a better connection for that time for end of January, so that you can enjoy from the very beginning to the end. But Niklas, welcome back. We have some questions from the participants. Are you ready to answer these questions? He disappeared. again. So we have actually now a luxury situation because we skipped the first presentation. We are still on time, so we still wait. Yeah, he's back. Okay.
Hi, Gary. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. We have 2 questions.
Yeah,
from the
I'm really sorry.
participants.
I usually don't have such a problem with the connection. I don't know what's going on.
No worries, no worries. It's yeah. Again, also this one is it's live. We cannot change it now. So, but we have 2 questions. So we would ask you. Angus will directly ask you the questions.
Hello, Nicholas. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. So in the chat, we've got one of the questions. Do the wineries have to pay a membership fee to be on your website, or do you work on commissions?
Commission. There's no price to be listed and there's no subscription fee. We work on commission, 10% or minimum €2 per person.
Awesome. Cool. The next question is, it's great that you use primary data for wineries. Is it only the use of platforms or also face-to-face data collection?
So far, it's only through the platform. It's the metrics that come in. The transactional metrics is one way of putting it. Like the primary input metrics when you sign up your winery, you sign up data about the kinds of experiences you have, your price, where geographic information, appellation information, the types of wines you have. So all that kind of metadata. And then of course there's the transactional data when a booking occurs. And then there's the data from the visitors in the same way that there's the metadata from the wineries. So, but are you maybe asking then when you say face-to-face more qualitative interviews? Is that what we're talking about?
I'm guessing that's the scope of the question. Yes.
We have focus groups. Absolutely. So yes and no. I mean, we have the surveys, of course, which we conduct with Geisenheim. But those are not face to face in that sense. We have a focus group, a panel of wineries, which have volunteered to be available for different kinds of video meetings with us when we have certain questions about what we think could be interesting for different wineries. And we have about 20 or 30 wineries in that group. I think those aren't scientifically structured. Those are more for our marketing development. So we have that for kind of more from the business perspective, but we don't have the face-to-face qualitative interviews yet from the scientific perspective.
Alrighty, thank you very much.